Okay, I'm Catherine. I'm a compulsive eater, and I have 105 days of back-to-back abstinence today. And I swear to you, I knew I couldn't do that. I was one of the people in this world that would never be able to do it because I wasn't that bad, you see, and I just wasn't going to do it. I couldn't do it. I don't know. I've never been in. I weigh and measure 3 meals from the Gray Sheet and commit them to a sponsor every day. And I do not eat in between meals. And I am the most defiant, oppositional, nasty person. And I am doing it, and I'm doing it perfectly. And I love it. And it has become very important to me. It's become very important to me, and it's given me freedom. And I can't tell you just this level of freedom because I just was different. I was going to be different, and I couldn't do it. You could do it. I couldn't do it. And I didn't believe you did it anyway. You all were lying, and you weren't funny, grim, and I didn't like you. So I just was coming because I was a lurker, and I don't know what the heck I was doing. But the thing is, I love it, and I love you, and you seem to love me, and you've welcomed me into a community I didn't think I wanted to join, but I do. And oh my God, I've just been in such pain and despair. And yes, and I still am, but it's manageable. It's manageable now. And I'm 36 and a half years sober in AA, and I've been 35 years in Al-Anon. And thank you for clapping. I see the clapping. But that was nothing compared to how hard this food business has been, because there's nothing to hide behind now. I can't hide, and as I said on Monday, I have never talked about this thing that happened to me 15 years ago, and this man that I loved with all my heart. I've never been in love like that. It's my second marriage. And after my first marriage fell apart, and I loved my first husband too, but he became he couldn't stay sober, and our family disintegrated. And it was really sad because alcoholism is such a destructive thing. And we decompensated. And anyway, after a long thing, and my daughter, it was just so sad. I met the love of my life at the age of 48, and I moved out west to LA. We were in New York. And by the way, I had 8.5 years of How abstinence, and I loved the How program, and it worked for me. It worked beautifully for me because I was healing a cancer from macrobiotics, and I was able to maintain a macrobiotic healing program on that with How. And I lost 35 pounds because I'd been pregnant and I needed to lose that weight. But it was a spiritual program for me, and it was a good adjunct to my AA program. And I was very, very clear and clean with my food. And I weighed and measured, and I called it into a sponsor. So that worked for me. Everybody doesn't seem to work for other people, but it worked for me. But eventually I was to just lose everything. But what happened to me 15 years ago was so traumatic and so horrible, because this man that I loved, and not an alcoholic, just turned out to be a malignant narcissist. But other than that, and a lawyer, I didn't need to say that, but he just ended up being the most abusive, horrific, tyrannical person I've ever met in my life. And he never raised his voice, and he never hit us or hit me, but he slowly diminished me in a way that I'm so embarrassed to say this. I never knew it could happen to a woman like me, because I'm accomplished, I'm successful, I've been on Broadway, I was on soap operas, I was famous, not really, but sort of. I became a psychotherapist. I studied psychology, object relations, psychoanalytic institute, and I had a huge private practice. And little by little, as I started to compensate, I had nothing, and I became a shrew. And I watched myself. I don't know why I didn't drink. I just ate, but I didn't get fat, really. I just became someone you wouldn't want on your land. And God damn it. The collateral damage was the 3 girls, and they just, I just could commit a homicide. Anyway, he ended up, he was a lawyer in the top law firm in this world, not country, world. And he took me to court, and he divorced me. but I had to become my own lawyer because he took everything. I lost my home, my jewelry, my things. I lost everything I had property wise, but I'd also lost my soul. But I somehow, and this is where I know God does stuff, because I didn't do anything. I didn't do it. There's no me that could have done what happened, because somehow it regrouped. Not had, I will say I'd had this unbidden, I've always been a big meditator, but I have lost that, and I haven't been able to meditate for a long time. And that's hard to admit, because I had this huge, powerful spiritual awakening in 1990. And I was pushing my baby in a pram in New York City. We lived on East 73rd Street. I lived there for 20 years. And I just disappeared. The I that was the me, anything identifiable disappeared. And I became just blissed out. And I went to India, and I took my children there, and I just maintained a sense of witness consciousness for many, many years. So that was there. And then I met him. It was just turned out to be another addictive relationship, but I thought I had it in my pocket because we were so spiritual. It was a horrible experience, and I've never ever spoken of it until I spoke Monday and now today. And that's what I ate over, and that's what I've never wanted to look at. And let me tell you, I have contemplated suicide so many times in the last 15 years, and I still think about it. So, just 105 days. I'm distressed goods. I mean, I have a huge psychotherapy practice. I don't know. But I'm like such a phony and so pretentious, and I'm glad everybody's overseas, because I just feel like I still need to hide. I'm so fucked up. And but the only thing that I have is that I can eat. I don't have to think about food. I can just eat it, and it's so good. And I can't believe it. I hated it at first. I thought, I will never do this. Every day I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do it. And what am I doing? But I know it's God, because this doesn't do it. Katharine doesn't do it. I'm a Southern belle. La-di-da, don't do it. But it is being done. And so I know there's something bigger than me that does this. Just like when Thomas was divorcing me in court. I was in court for 2 years for a 3.5-year marriage. And I wrote a book about it, on how to do your own divorce. And it's done well. But it doesn't make any sense, because everything has worked. And yet my soul is gone. And I mean it, but hopefully it'll come back, because I don't have to think about physical nourishment, and now my soul can rebuild, because it has to. Because sometimes I wonder what value I have anymore. And my patients love me, but I just want to say, do you have any idea who I am? But I don't, because that would be very narcissistic. But I really feel like I need a lot of help. And I know I need a lot of outside help, but I just need oh God, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I hope I'm not dumping. But anyway, I didn't believe I could do it. I couldn't stop eating. I couldn't stop eating. Every moment I was putting something in my mouth. And I wasn't a volume eater. I was just eating, grazing. I walked through a room, eating. I couldn't stop. I woke up in the middle of the night and ate. I couldn't stop eating. I just kept eating. And it was getting bad. And I knew I wouldn't stop. And I just kept ordering cases of my binge food from England. Digestives. And I couldn't stop. And I would just have my cup of tea and blah, 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 and eat. And I was as miserable as I have ever been in my life. And I finally said, I won't be able to stop, and I may as well die. And then I called somebody, and she walked me through my house, and I threw everything away. And that sense of liberation that day is unlike anything I've ever known. Because believe me, I'm a one hell of a drunk. And I don't remember that being that hard. I mean, I went to rehab, and it was easy. And I just don't know. It wasn't easy. It was different. It wasn't even hard. This was hard. This is hard. My detox is emotional and spiritual, and it's been very, very painful and difficult. So I don't know. I hope if you're new, and I don't know, I didn't pay much attention if anybody's new here, but I hope I'm not a very good model of it. I'm not a very good power of example, because
5 minutes left.
5 minutes? Is that what you said? Okay. I can't see. I'll put my glasses on now. Oh, hi. So, oh, everybody's nice. I, I, what I see before me is a period of reconstruction. And as long as I don't eat, if I stay abstinent, there's possibility and freedom because there wasn't any before. There was no possibility. And little by little, I feel like I'm getting God back a little bit, because I live in this beautiful place in the foothill mountains of Los Angeles, and there are birds and there are things, and there was just such abuse. I hate that happened to me. I hate that happened to me. It can't happen to me, but it did, and he was just a monster, and just so humiliating. And at the end of 7 years of our relationship, I didn't have a friend left. I didn't have a psychotherapy practice because we kept going. I kept taking me off to these spiritual conferences. Thank you. Sorry, that was a dog walker. So very sorry. I have a greyhound called Licorice Noodle. And anyway, so she's black. I just see possibility. I see connection. Every now and then I'll feel that old thrill of God again, a little bit of a tickle. And it just feels so good because it's been such a desert and an aridity for so long that, oh my God, it's God. Oh my God, it's God. And I'm a tough cookie, and I'm almost 71, and I don't want to live like this anymore. And this pain and unhappiness and suffering. I'll take pain. I don't want to suffer, And the only way out is to not eat, except abstinently. So I thank you for having me in your community, because I don't think anybody else would have wanted me, because I was but anyway, thank you. I don't want to talk anymore now. Thank you.